Hello,
Hello,
hello. How we doing?
we on live.
Yes, we are. I think we might be having some tech issues, but maybe Marcy, you want to do the welcome until
So, yes, welcome to the AM Affirmation Podcast, where we're here to speak nicely to ourselves. And you guys know that I like to say we like to speak luxury words to ourselves because when we speak luxury words to ourselves, can't nobody bring no junk to us. You keep those words that do not uplift me, you send them back to somebody else. I wasn't gonna
That's
say send
correct.
it back to your mama,
That's correct.
but
So yeah, we were having a little tech issues more so on my part than anybody else's part, but I'm here now. So welcome, welcome, welcome everybody to another one of our amazing, exciting, informative episodes. I have my wonderful co-host here with me, Miss Marcy of Marcy Moments. You can find her on IG everywhere on Facebook, on all the socials. She has this practice that she has been putting out to the atmosphere on a daily just about basis of Marcy Moments, where she drops all kinds of gems about how we need to be living or not living. So make sure you tune in to what she has to say because it always brightens my day. So make sure you join her. And then, of course, last but not least, we have Miss Clivia Allen, hashtag her chosen story. She is an author. We all are authors, actually. Let me put that plug out there. We all have books. Check us out and make sure you get one of the books, okay? Miss Clivia is an author. She is an editor, book editor. She is a mom. She is a podcast hoster. Not just here, she has her own. She is a room moderator. Okay, and the list goes on. So
the
make
list
sure
goes
that you
on.
check her out. Exactly. Check her out. Then, of course, myself. My name is Karan Fairweather, known as the Affirmation Whisperer. So I'm just going to put a disclaimer out there now. I have a little bit of a different setup today. So my imagery isn't the best as it could be, and I'm trying my best to sit still. I'm learning something about myself right now. I don't know how to sit still because I am just moving. I am just moving around and causing a little bit of the ghosting to happen. But you know what? It is all good because we are here. We did not want to miss an opportunity to bring forth some great information to our audience. And affirmers, thank you for listening in. Thank you for supporting us. Thank you for subscribing. I don't see my subscribe button, but you guys go ahead and point to your subscribe button so everybody knows where to subscribe. Make sure you subscribe because we love seeing our numbers increase, which means that what we are doing is reaching the community. So, with that being said, Miss Marcy, what's our topic for today? First topic for today. What are we talking about today?
Baby, our topic is it's about one of my favorite subjects,
Yeah.
therapy. How can therapy help our culture?
Oh,
Baby, that is a loaded question.
yes.
And that question, therapy helping our culture. And we know systemically
yeah.
the black and brown community, first of all, it's so historically it's been a stigma, the mistrust of healthcare system, the cultural barriers that have made therapy less accessible to the black community, but especially to black women. Once more and again, we carry the culture with less self help. So when we say historically, the stigma historically, we want to send this just for a few minutes back to post traumatic slave to syndrome. That's a thing. So when things was happening in the household with the slaves, um, it was told what's done in the house, it stays in the house and it's nobody's business. And once again, we are victims of post-traumatic slave syndromes, because a lot of these things have been passed down from generations to generations, and we just never question it.
So, but let me interrupt you really quick, Miss Marcy, just because I want everybody to have a really good understanding. Today, this topic, this title, this word is trending, if you will. We've heard a lot in the past, I'll say 2 decades, well, actually, maybe 1 decade, a little more than 1 decade, than we've ever heard it before. But for those that may be new to this word, what it's all about, what is therapy? In a nutshell, what is therapy?
Therapy is when this is how I describe therapy. When you go to a complete stranger who doesn't know you, and you tell them your hurts, they don't judge you, but what they do is help you process the the pain, heal from the pain, and everything is a process. Therapy is a process. So don't think you can go to therapy one time and get healed. No, it's a process of unlearning hurt, unlearning some trauma, and replacing it with things that can make you happy. Now, we're not saying the things, we're not erasing the past, but we're learning to process and heal from the things, the people, and the places that have hurt us. So they won't be as triggering as they can be. So therapy is work. Therapy is working on yourself and doing the work. Therapy is work. But when you work to heal yourself, when I tell you, you'll be somewhere and trigger something. The words we have are activators, triggers. Um, let's just say we lost Kayron. Let's just say we let's say I got a aunt that triggers me. Okay. I used to would not be in a room with her. And I just wouldn't be in a room with her. But what I had to learn how to do is I had to meet her where she is. And then I got to understand where I am. So, working in my therapy, I could be in a room with her now, but I could only be in a room with her for 10 minutes.
Right.
And after that 9.5 minute, I know that I'm gonna be activated by something she says or does. So what I do, I remove myself from the situation.
Yeah. Yeah.
I can remove myself from the situation, and that's one thing about therapy: learning what your boundaries are. You don't need to tell people what your boundaries are. Know them for yourself, and know when you think they're about to be crossed, and know when you need to remove yourself from any situation that will send you back to a place where you're triggered, and then you won't make rash decisions.
Yeah. That's good.
Yeah, that's
And I was looking at the notes. It says therapy provides tools for emotional regulation, conflict resolution, and stress management, which are essential for both individual and collective growth. So, what you said is so true. Sometimes you really, for your own sound mind, you have to remove yourself
mhm.
from certain situations. And, it also helps people work through difficult emotions, uncover underlying patterns, and ultimately achieve emotional healing and balance. And you started off by saying that post-slave trauma, right? And I think that's something we're going to talk about in our next episode in regards to trauma. So a lot of these things are unknown underlying issues that needs to be
Yeah.
healed, right? And I not to say I make a joke, but I say this platform is my therapy, where I'm able to express
Mhm.
myself, not be judged by what I'm sharing, and then be encouraged in return. And that's what it is. It's really conversation. I know some people may go to family members like as their therapist, quote unquote, but sometimes we need more than just our family and friends, right? You need a professional. And then there's a difference between therapy and psychologists where sometimes they work hand in hand.
Yes.
So I know that might be a
Right. So
different.
more so psychologists and psychologists and psychiatrists, They give you medicine. They can give you medicine.
Right.
Um, and with that, with the role of the therapy of emotional healing, just real quick, psychologists and psychiatrists can give you medicine, baby. If they write you a prescription, use it. Okay, that's what I use it
Right.
because it helps. It really, really does.
Mm,
The role of
mm,
therapy in so Clivia, like you said, this platform gives us the opportunity to be transparent, and I love that about us,
yeah.
that we're very transparent. And
Hmm.
with this particular subject, I'm walking in my emotional healing because I was an absolute wreck. I was tore up from the floor up. Actually, I
Mm,
wasn't even on the floor. I was below the floor for 3.5 years. Emotionally
right.
distraught. My job was a mess. My marriage was a mess. My home was everything around me. I was emotionally dying on the inside for 3.5 years.
Yeah.
Um, and then
Yeah.
one of my girlfriends, and my best friend is a therapist. And of course, I was talking to her, and I'm thinking like that was my therapy. But another one of my best friends, she was like, "Yo," she'll Puerto Rican from New York. She said, "Yo, you going to therapy?" Nah, I was like, "What?"
The real
Yes,
thing.
real therapy. And she said some other words. She sent me 3 people to call, and she said, "Yo, you got this was a Monday." She said, "Yo, you got till Thursday, and you better tell me
Mm,
exactly." So I was bullied, but it's the best thing. Um,
yeah.
and I called 3 people. Only one person responded, which has been my therapist now for over 2.5 years. Um,
Okay.
so, but it went from I was going to therapy every week because I was in bad shape. I was suicidal, bad shape. So I was going to therapy every week at one time. And then as life started unhinging me, and I was able to process what the therapy was going through the therapy. It went to twice a week. And then now it's like once every other month. Um, but my therapist tried to break up with me. I was like, no, we in this forever. She was like, well, no, Marcy, you're doing really good. No, 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 no. Where the stigma for the Black and brown community is they don't go to therapy. Mine is no, I'm not leaving you. We go together. So yeah, so work doing the work,
That's,
doing the work of therapy at the end result is you become a better person. Because just today, somebody, and I was telling them my story, and emotional healing is going through the hurt, but yet you can heal other people. And I was talking to this young lady at my job, which was I think she's Italian, and she says, "Yes, Marcy, I can see the glimmer in your eye." 3 years ago, my eyes, I did not have it because I was not processing my hurt.
yeah. And I want to share, I'm so glad that we're talking about this because just some weeks ago, I'm part of currently a Caribbean biz network. And it was during May. I know this is going to premiere later. It was in May, and we had just talking about mental health awareness. And we were talking about the stigma of Caribbean
Mm.
households. And this young lady that I connected with, I've been talking to her pretty frequent, and she was finally using her voice, right? And she had a miscarriage 5 years ago. And since we started talking, she started getting her voice back and her confidence back. And she shared with me that she got invited to speak, but somebody told her, well, if you cry, that means you're not fully healed. And I said, no, there's tears are language God understands. We cry, and sometimes that's our strength. I know for me, sometimes I cry. It's either my strength, I'm upset. I mean, there's
Yeah.
different, again, it's a language we may not understand. And sometimes it's an overflow, right? So she said, I am healed, Clivia. I said, I bet you are. Right. But people think like, okay, they can be a therapist, like, oh, you shouldn't go up there and speak because you're not ready yet. You're not healed yet. But her story will heal those in the room. You know what I'm saying? So a lot of people, and maybe her therapist might have told her something different versus the friend, and now she's in this in between. But I told her, go ahead, get on that stage and share your story. So again, people would throw things at you, whether you're not healed enough or you're not emotionally well. And I remember we talked about those different types of wellness. And yeah, it's just encouraging to know that we can heal from these things, and therapy is a way out. And like you said, if medication have to be taken,
Take
take the
the
medication.
medication. And you know what? And that was
Yeah,
from an unhealed person telling her she wasn't healed. Because first of all, I can't,
exactly.
Clivia, I can't tell you what you healed or not healed from. That's between you and
Exactly.
God.
It's a
That's
personal thing.
between you
Yeah,
and your
yeah.
maker. And there lies the cultural, like the cultural stigma. Because and then for women, and especially I don't know about the Caribbean household. I've dated
I'll tell you about it. I'll share more about
I've dated quite a
it.
few Caribbean men, but and yeah, we know that, yeah, okay, that's a whole different show. But when especially it was probably, it sounded like a older woman, an older Caribbean woman trying to tell a younger Caribbean woman, you're not healed because the older woman didn't do the process. She didn't go through the process. And every process doesn't have to have
Exactly.
a therapist, but you need, like you said, a professional who can guide you through the process of healing. Because healing from
Hmm.
grief, from anger, it's a process. Yeah.
Exactly.
So,
Exactly. Exactly. So with the Caribbean cultural stigma, so also going, I was so glad I was in that space that day, because again, we have so many stories that we think is just us, but to have a room full of almost over 100 people and we're chatting and we're saying the same things. I remember in regards to just again that stigma. Oh, you don't need to go and talk to nobody. Don't tell nobody your business. Kind of like what you shared, where you keep your business in your house. Then you talk about, oh, girl, just sit down somewhere and go and read a book. Nothing ain't wrong with you. Like those are the things, because one, they didn't go through the process like you just shared, and it's just this stagnant. Like, no, you're gonna be okay, right? You'll be fine. You don't have to go and talk to anybody. And plus, I have to pay money for that. Come and talk to me. And that those were the things that we heard because of the culture we came from. And again, I'm experienced from being in a Caribbean household, coming from the Caribbean. Those were the things that we heard. And then it's even where you would hear therapy, and it's like, I'm sorry for any background noise. Oh, are you crazy? You would
oh
hear
yeah.
therapy and you think because something's wrong with your mind, or that's the devil in you. So it becomes a spiritual thing, right? You don't need a
Or
therapist.
here's the one. I don't need no therapy. I got Jesus. Well, Jesus ain't got you.
Yeah.
How about that? If and if Jesus
Something's
ain't got
lacking.
you, you ain't got Jesus, and Jesus ain't got you. Because I know my mom, um, she went through a depression, a deep depression. And my mother, we called her nickname was little baby Jesus, hands so soft. She was very rooted in the word. It was pretty much me. I was horrible. She was rooted in the word, but she was lonely. She was sad. And she didn't process. Now she knew her word now, but she also didn't know how. Like,
Mm-hmm.
I laugh. I am absolutely a goofball, and I'm okay with it. My mother was always so serious and so very stark. Like, people used to be like, if you would have known my mom, you would have been like, yeah, she adopted. But my
Miss
mother,
Marcy, wait, Miss Marcy. So I'm glad I'm back here, because but you just said something earlier. I want to digress to. about people in the church with therapy. Yeah, that's a huge topic because it started before church, right? Because you were mentioning earlier before I had to get out and get back in about how, those that had us enslaved, how we were treated, that happened in the house stayed in the house. And if you if they whatever you were doing didn't make sense to them, they automatically call you crazy, right? So that is kind of filtered into our culture as we go on. And then once we start to get into organized religion, following behind those that had us enslaved, being same stuff that was in the household now filtered into the church, right? So I'm a staunch believer in Christ. However, just like affirmations require an action for it to work, so does believing in Christ require an action, because that's how come we have been given the intellect that we have to be able to have people who can speak to the trauma that we're going to. So if we're not tapping into the resources, then what's the point? So we got these things going on. I'm a staunch believer in Christ. I'm a Christian. I walk around here, but I'm bat crazy because I don't know how to process my thoughts. So being in the church and not knowing how to tap, well, I'll say it this way. We avoid, as it is on the screen, that stigma being placed on me. I'm gonna pretend like I ain't got nothing going on. I'm gonna pretend like I ain't got nothing going on because I don't want that placed on me. I don't want anyone telling me that I'm crazy. I don't want anyone telling me that what's a loon tune, right? I've
Oh,
heard that
you
before.
know the other word is, that baby touched.
That too. That's
You know
I
that
mean,
baby.
we can chuckle at it right now, but it's still just overall, it's wrong, and it has kept us in bondage because of those stigmas that
Hmm.
exist and still exist today. Even with us getting on board with therapy, having you and Tyrese to talk about the different types of therapy and how to get into it and how the traumas that we're experiencing. Even today, there is so much of information available to us, but we still won't tap in, putting on us. And I listen. I caught myself doing a live yesterday that did not work on TikTok. But one of the things I said is that, another story, y'all, another time. But one of the things I said in that, what I thought to be alive, was we are so concerned about what people are thinking. We are allowing those thoughts to hold us up. And I was talking
Hostage.
about me going live, holding us hostage. I was talking about how I'm so concerned. I was having a conversation with someone the other day about, and I was very transparent with them why I have an aversion to go live. And one of them is I don't want to be judged by nobody. And
Hmm.
I had to put some thought into me. So you worried about somebody who might say something about you that you haven't spoken to in eons, but yet you're worried about what they're gonna say. I had to really look at myself. So
Hmm.
same thing with therapy. I know I got some stuff going on. I know I need to talk to somebody. I know I haven't had a good relationship because I don't know how to even love myself, let alone love somebody else. I know this, but because I don't want to be judged by somebody else, because I say I go to the other word, go to the crazy person or go lay on somebody's bench. Those phrases that we don't want that put on us, but yeah, I know I need
You don't want
help.
to lay on nobody's couch.
That's it, right?
The couch, yeah.
So because we're worried about what somebody gonna say, we give people too much real estate. Sorry, I just need
Yeah.
to throw that in there. Go ahead, go ahead, go ahead, go ahead.
And I want to just say that I'm very proud of my church, because the pastor has now implemented a health and wellness ministry. So me, Tyrese, and we have a young man, Brian. The three of us are over the health and wellness ministry. And in the month of May was Mental Health Awareness Month, and we were able to recognize it from the pulpit, give statistics. It says one in four people have mental health illness. 1 in 4. So you add another one to us, that means one of us have mental health had mental health crisis. So I know I'm one. So we can, if we add one more person, we put our producer in H.E.R. I know I was the one with the mental health issues. So and that's a small number. So I'm very proud that my church is is opening up to the door for the subject. And Tyrese, as the professional, she was able to be on the pulpit and say these numbers and say these things to the congregation. So, I kudos to my pastor McGriff and Galilee Baptist Church for being progressive enough to
Yeah,
even have that as a ministry.
as a platform. I do want to share, and that's really important because I had a space with some men in May during mental health awareness, and they talked about the weight that they carry as
Mm,
men,
yeah.
right? The weight to hold it together financially, support a family or maybe families, and still show up. And one of the guys, he was a pastor, and he said, even as, because pastors are humans, we know it's just a title, they're men called by God, but he even went into this depression and had to seek therapy. So now, even for men, the church, the community, we need to be the ones to make that shift in regards to breaking that
Mhm.
cultural stigma. I remember even when I got divorced, I lived across from my uncle, and I was like, well, we need to start therapy. And to be honest, I've never sat on a couch, right? I've never officially, quote unquote, officially been to therapy. I know that I need it, 8 years later, because now I'm raising two children that are growing up and I want them to be able to, and they're pretty, I would say, emotionally
Mhm.
intelligent, but I still want them to have an outlet, right? Versus me. I tell them I'm not their therapist, even though sometimes I could be their therapist. My uncle said, no, 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 don't do that. Again, Caribbean household, don't do that because it's going to end up on their school records that now they have a mental illness. And I'm like, really? And that was early 30s. So listening to him, but also knowing the truth. And I'm like, no. And eventually, and some of the things, there was some stats that I sent over. And one of them is in regards to finance affording
Mm,
therapy,
mhm.
right? So now the clinics in our underserved communities, what are we doing for those who cannot afford it? What if my insurance, yes, they give me a list, but this list still don't accept it. They're not even going to give me what I need. They're just going to see me to maybe prescribe a medication. Why? Because they're going to get money from that. And we know that everything is a business, but how can I get help? And I think it's important that the church now is stepping in, because the church is the source. The church is the place that we should go when we're broken, when we are not
But
mentally well,
the church is supposed to be
and
the hospital. You go there for the sick, but
exactly with
that's a
this.
whole nother.
Yeah,
That's a whole nother. All of these are segments by themselves because we have 5 more points to get
yeah.
through, and we're not rushing, but we want to make sure that we do touch on each point. And our next point is therapy as a tool for collective healing. Like I said in the beginning, therapy is a process, and now the process is the tool for your healing. Now when the therapy and some tools for healing, um and I know I had to do this with my therapist, journaling, writing things out.
Hmm.
And we say it all the time, writing out your affirmations, putting them on paper, making the words real. And therapy is also, it's journaling. How do you feel? How do you feel um, when you wake up in the morning? I know I pray, I do my affirmations. I don't write them down in the morning. I'm gonna be honest, I don't write them down in the morning. Now I'll write affirmations throughout the day when I'm at work, like, oh God, I thank you for this new job I'm gonna get right get. Yeah. But writing down your feelings, writing, and I've said this on many occasions. Start, if you're not
Mm-hmm.
going to therapy, how about you start by writing a love letter to yourself? Yes, write a
Right.
love letter to yourself. That's someone told me to
I
do
love
that.
that.
She was like, Marcy, write a love letter to yourself. And when I was
Mm-hmm.
writing that letter,
That's good.
I was in pain. I was hurting. I was asking God why did my marriage is
Yeah.
why is my marriage destroyed? Why my husband didn't love me? Why am I lovable? Why it was, and that was my love letter to myself at that time. So,
Mm-hmm.
but
Mm-hmm.
this love letter to myself was like, "Hey, gorgeous, look at you. You are doing it." So, and be okay where you are. Um, Everybody's journey
Yeah.
is not the same. So, just be okay.
That's good. I wanted to in regards to barriers to access, only 2% of US psychiatrists and 4% of
Yeah.
psychologists are Black, leading to a lack of culturally competent care because not everybody wants to see somebody that don't look like them, right? So that's a way in regards to collective healing. Let's let's encourage our young people, hey, you need to maybe think about doing this as a study because we need more of you, just like pilots. I mean, at one point the planes were just crashing and I didn't know why, and I told my son, hey, study aeronautics. We need more Black pilots that know what they're
Yes.
doing. That's just me throwing it out there, but so important. And I know we're going to move on with the
Yes,
points.
and even as we're moving on, my thing is I have to have Black. I needed a Black therapist, and I need Black doctors.
Position and yeah, yeah,
And
so
therapy's
key.
role in strengthening emotional intelligence. My therapist, I can say one thing, and it sounds like it's logical to me. I said to her, she does her therapist things, and then she comes back and asks me some questions. And when I answer, I was like, of course I wouldn't do that. Of course I wouldn't do that. But then I realized that, of course, what I wouldn't do, I said that's what I want to do. So, that is, once again, talking to someone who is completely biased from you, for you, and it's not going to give you just the answer you need. They're going to give you the answer that is going to, a good therapist will give you the answer for you to succeed.
And that's healthy. And one of the things in regards to therapy's role in strengthening emotional intelligence, from the notes, it says cultivating EQ, emotional intelligence, through therapy can lead to a more compassionate and emotionally healthy
Mm,
culture. So if it starts with this episode where we would share this out so people could understand why it's important, then it would be that generational cycle. Like, you know what? Mama went to therapy. I want to go to therapy. I want to make sure my children go to therapy. My parents never went to therapy, right? They never seek counseling, as we would call it. So now it's my responsibility again. I have not, and it's been 8 years since I believe I should have started. It's never too late either to start, but I want to make sure that in my household, it's okay to see a
mhm.
therapist, right? Whatever the outside noise is, we will do therapy. And then that's how we start that
And
cycle.
that and when you do, when people who go to therapy and they process, they become better society members, which that EQ,
Right.
when in a situation, they will be the one who will come up with the most sound advice that is conducive to everybody, and not just I'm mad right now and what I'm thinking goes. So
Yeah.
so our next
Yeah.
one is how building stronger and healthier communities, just like therapy, building on that
Wonderful. Yeah.
EQ, building on the responsibility, building on being able to breathe, breathing. Oh, baby,
So good.
when you come across some people, and and as I say, my salvation is on their way. Don't make me miss a payment. And sometimes, and I've had a lot of gurus, and but I I had one guru, and she's loved breath work. She loves breath work, and I've been in somewhere where I wanted to just break faces, and
Mhm.
she
Mhm.
just will come in my ear and say, "Hasana," and I'll be like, "Okay, I'm breathing. I'm not going to break your face right now because my EQ, the breathing, the and it wasn't a licensed therapist, but it was a form of teaching me EQ has kicked in. So what was in
Mhm.
me was I was able to control myself at that particular time, not catch a case,
Yeah, and you know how to
right? Not
integrate it.
catch a
Yeah,
case
that's
because
good.
whole face would have been broken.
Yeah,
So
yeah, that's good. Yeah, and again, it starts with community. It starts with us
mhm,
talking about it, not being
mhm.
ashamed, and that will definitely build a healthier community. Having workshops, free workshops, so then you would understand that more people will come, more people understand, and then they'll know, okay, this is what I would need in order to get this, to do
Be
this, and
successful because
collaborating.
therapy
Exactly.
therapy never ends because we're always processing, but being a
Yeah.
successful um what's the word I want to use, problem, it's not a problem solver, but that's the word, that's the only word that's coming up in my mind now. But success,
Solution.
yeah.
Hmm.
uh Being solution driven. So
Right.
when you're solution driven, it you can easily de-escalate a lot of
Right.
things. And when you're the
Yeah.
master of de-escalation, once more again, you've learned how to process things in a in a
That's right.
um in a hasty manner.
Yeah. That's good. Finding the
Ooh.
right therapist. That's good. Like we said, there's a lack of us in the room,
And
right?
like you said,
So,
what was the for the
mhm,
black male? There's only 2%. Like I know
right.
several black male therapists. Of course, doing Thursday
Mhm,
therapy, we get to I get to see more, find more, and talk to more. Um, but yeah, finding the right therapist. Like I said, with me, I had three names. Um, I called all three. Only one person reached back out to me, which is my therapist
right.
now.
Right.
I have now that
Mhm,
has been a thing. Um, I actually just talked to somebody today, and they was like, "Oh, I don't like my therapist. This particular person ran through like three therapists." I'm like, okay, you know what? I have a person for her, and he's not a licensed therapist. He's a therapizer. Um, and I think that might be the person he a little bit more street. He gonna give it to you so raw. You gonna even you gonna start processing. You're gonna process it.
I hear
And
that.
sometimes the nice, kind, soft therapist, it may not be the therapist that you need. You might need that therapist to be
Yeah.
like, you know what? Stop lying to me. Stop lying to yourself. You wasting
Mhm,
my time. You wasting your time. Let's get it together. Let's be
yeah.
truthful. So some people might need that harsh therapist. I don't want that harsh therapist. I
Yeah.
like my therapist. The way she delivers everything is beautiful. I
Yeah.
know. I think I'm not sure if I can say it. It's a online therapy thing. It's called psychologist. Is it psychologist today or psychologist.org? And you can put in your address and you can find therapists
And get
in your
local.
area.
Yeah. Yeah. There's one that I started to listen to, Therapy for Black Girls, and she has been so informative where she therapists on and she provides a list on her website. So just like you said, we can, do the research, also word of mouth and referring. Like if you saw someone like that person that finally answered, and then you meet somebody, that could be that word of mouth service. And yeah, it'll be a
Yes.
ripple
So
effect. for
I
sure.
give I give people, of course, I give people Tyrese's information,
Hmm.
because she has clinicians on board. My personal therapist, and then for some who don't want the conventional therapy, I have a young man that I'm taking my social and emotional learning certificate from, and he's what I call a therapizer. But that brother right there, man, he breaks some stuff down. So I always have at least three resources for people when they ask me about therapy.
That's
So,
good. That's good. And I know for some people too, it's like, because you just mentioned seeing a male for that social emotional therapy, but would a man like a woman as a therapist or vice versa, or would the male, like for me, I would want my son to see a male, right? Just
mhm,
because I know that male would be able to communicate better as a man to my son, right? And
mhm,
then for me, I would prefer talking comfortably to a female. So I know
mhm.
even in regards to the preference of them looking like us or the same gender as us, just so we can feel that safe space.
And I do have a couple of male therapists. So, I'll definitely share that information with you.
That would be great.
And then he actually does pediatrics. And this particular um practice, they service the Black and brown community. 99% of their clientele services the Black and brown community, but they're in Connecticut. But I would trust them. So yeah.
Right. And we could probably share some of those resources on the description.
Okay.
Yeah. Yeah, and
Okay.
I think sliding scale fees, insurance coverage, community-based programs
Yeah.
are pretty good. And just one more, this is in regards to Caribbean. Many Caribbean nations allocate only 4.3% of their health care budgets to mental health, resulting in inadequate services and support. So in the Caribbean, it's like, is it a priority? And again, maybe we'll just send them to the man house and give them medication, but it should be a priority worldwide. Like wherever we are,
All right. Yeah.
mental health is vital. It is vital.
And making it more accessible. That's something that we can work on.
Yeah.
That is something we can work on.
Yeah. Awesome. So I think I'm not sure if Karen is going to come back in, but we can say her affirmation,
Okay.
perhaps. um, this is Karen's affirmation. I release, or she releases, the stigma surrounding therapy and embrace it as a means to empower herself. She is open to the transformative power of mental health support.
Thank you, Kron, standing. And I am the author of a powerful new chapter. My life is a masterpiece of luxury, purpose, and divinity.
Awesome. I am worthy of healing, and seeking therapy is a courageous act of self love and empowerment that honors my mental and emotional well being. In our scripture, do not be anxious about anything, but in every situation, by prayer and petition, with thanksgiving, present your requests to God. That's awesome.
Ashe.
Philippians 4, verse 6 to 7. So I guess what's the last thing that we normally say in regards to, well, thank you, affirmers.
Yeah, thank you. Oh, subscribe, yay. And you are your first priority. So
So act like
like
it.
it.
Cameron, we miss you.
Yes.
Thank you, guys.
Peace and blessings.